This orange machine is This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a hand crank. Turning the crank feels oddly satisfying, like stirring your childhood dreams. In the distance, you hear water dripping. It's all gone now. You'll never become a poet or an entrepreneur. You slip your fingers under the frozen lid, but the ice is too cold for you to get a good grip. A pry bar would come in handy here. If you want to try again, then you need to have the pry. This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a Two cables are plugged into the breaker box. The red one leads to the ice. A few bricks have fallen off, revealing a compartment behind the wall. It's too dark to see in.
Seems like an old bunker from the revolutionary period. Look at all those rifles. Must be an old weapons cache. There is, yes. And there also appears to be something inside the hole. Interesting. Do you want to take a look?
Your hand reaches deep into darkness and spiderwebs. Rummaging around, you find rusty rifles hidden away.
Are these any good?
Most of them are rusty and inoperable, like the rest, but one catches your eye. A bolt-action model with a fine wood stock, in better cosmetic order than the others.
That's a rare sight. Seems to no longer be functional, but still a beautiful thing in its own way. It means there are firearms, albeit inoperable, still lying around in Martinez. It's an interesting coincidence, I would say. Might come in useful in the future.
He likes this find. Two cables are plugged into the breaker box. The red one leads to the ice bear. Something close to you dies with a soft...
Why did you do that?
The lieutenant raises his brows, but doesn't say anything. The electric distribution board now has one cable missing. This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric. Only the red cable is plugged into the breaker box, while the black one lies neglected on the floor. An electric sizzle. The room is... The beer's eyes are dead and empty. Ice inside the fridge, slowly melting. The power has been... A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black. Looks like this furnace has a face, and it's a face of agony.
Looks like it. Looks like an old central furnace used to heat the building. It's connected to the chimney. No one has used it in ages. No signs of any recent fire. Only dead rats.
It's dark and grimy here. In the darkness you can hear chatter. It's coming from above. A voice or several voices talking to each other. Near the smoke chamber, upstairs.
What are you doing? Wait, really? We should investigate, see if someone's upstairs.
A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace. You muster all your strength and yell. A thick layer of coal dust. Something breaks loose in you. A mighty bellow echoes throughout the chimney's depths. The chatter of tiny voices above suddenly cease. Then...
Hello?
You've awakened the entity.
Hello? Did you say anything? I can't hear you. Please come upstairs. There's a safety curtain on the second floor. I'll open it.
You hear a low rumble upstairs, the sound of a curtain being pulled aside.
After you, officer.
An old call box with a matrix of push buttons lists all the companies in the East Delta Commerce Center. East Delta Commerce Center? This must be the name of the doomed commercial area. you hear is static, but no one answers the call. You wait for a minute or two, but all you get from the call box is silence. No one answers the call. An off-key melody starts playing after you ring the doorbell. Then a woman picks up the receiver.
Kuno, please stop calling here. Grown-ups don't have time for your stupid games.
She thinks you're the gremlin child. What would he say to this?
Pardon? This is not Kuno. Who is this? Please just stop calling here. I don't have time to deal with this. Thank you.
A single beep indicates that the line has gone dead. This orange machine is dead still. This orange machine is dead still. It has the ice squeaks beneath the pry bar. You think you've got the bar jammed in there pretty well, but the lid simply won't budge. You see the pry bar's metal handle bending right before your very eyes.
Yeah, well, that's a good pry bar. I'm not criticizing it, but this ice cream maker is frozen shut. It takes an advanced tool to get it open. I have no idea, officer. This ice cream maker isn't important enough to requisition a special tool.
Sooner or later, you will stumble upon a tool mighty enough. Then we will know what's in this mysterious ice cream maker. Both cables are unplugged from the breaker box. Somewhere in the dark. A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black.
You're right. The rooms do look like they're connected. But malignant entities don't exist. At least not the supernatural kind.
Always has to be the skeptic, this man. A lush layer of coal now covers your skin, sinking into the wrinkles. Your hands look ancient. Maybe you could paint something with this coal. Leave a cave painting for future archaeologists. No, that would be stupid.
Hello, I'm Nia. Did you try knocking on my window?
I must have missed you. I've been listening to my Milius. So what kind of die are you looking for?
Could this be the malicious entity? Perhaps it's wise to go along with this masquerade for now. She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching.
Yes, Amelia is like a call-in station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these. Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages. But some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking. Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific in mind? I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes? Very good. My rate is 10 real per set, unless you want something really unusual. Take a look around and see if there is any particular stone you want to use.
It almost looks as if the stones and dice are a natural part of the room, growing out of the shells like stalagmites. This person means you, or no one else, absolutely no harm. She will answer freely and honestly. No falsehoods are present. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die? We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know. But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus.
Plaisance was right. There's an entity living in the chimney. You should ask her about the curse.
Creative.
I've heard the stories, but I don't think those stories are true. Plaisance, the bookshop lady? I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energies spared her somehow? All right. But it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in rags? Some people say it's part of the building complex. You could say so. Both houses were built at the same time and under the east of the Commerce Central project. And then there is me. I've been here for 14 years, selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly a million-real business idea, yet somehow I've survived despite the talk of malicious energy.
Maybe it's just because she's so talented that she's been able to woo the curse.
Malignant entity? What does that even mean? Some kind of sorceress? What about you, officer? Do you think I'm the malignant entity?
Time has come to face the source. Fear not, for the forces of the universe are supporting you in this psychic quest.
Is it now? I've always thought it's a rather mundane and boring place with no supernatural surprises in sight. Well, if you ever find a way to explain all those inconsistencies in the curse, let me know.
That's all she has to say on the subject. She's been thorough and truthful, as far as we can see. Blaisance is not going to like what you have to tell her. The bookstore closes starting 2100. You'll have to do that tomorrow.
How did I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular jeweler at first, but that's an unfocused field with too much competition. Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dice out of cobalt. That was my first order. I grew it from there. Not especially. I like working with rare materials and a steady pay. And role players as customers? They're nice people.
Some of those nice people have big bucks to spend on novelty items.
Of course. Tell me what you have in mind. I think I have just the right one for you.
Police colors.
Not the most original, I know, but sometimes the obvious choice is obvious because it's best. Here, catch. They're a gift from me.
A beautiful woman tossing you a gift. Whatever you do, don't overthink it. Mr. Smooth Moves. You snatch the dice out of the air with one hand, just like you're in a movie.
Oh, what are the odds? The red one is made of bloodstone with a lapis lazuli inlay, and the blue one is the inverse. I believe these dice are your lucky charm, officer.
She winked back at you. Can you believe it? You truly are Mr. Smooth Moves.
You definitely need luck in Martinez. Was there anything else? Nothing really. I didn't know him.
The lieutenant looks at his notebook, then the woman under the large window.
Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last Sunday evening?
I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window. Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. During daytime, there are usually those kids, and lately I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hanging about. Must be...
She's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire.
but I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid. It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home. I might have, but in this case, all I would have seen is my own reflection staring back from the darkness.
It's light here, but dark in the yard at night.
It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone.
She nods.
Anything else, officer? More or less. Are you interested in anyone specific?
Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind.
There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I have forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years, until the insect rights activists came. The atelier produced a certain collection that used chitin among the materials. Apparently chitin is made in the Occident, where it's extracted from beetle wings. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident. The activists shut down the biggest chitin supplier, which of course caused the price to skyrocket. And, naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in chitin from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection. Really? Anyway. Fortress Accident, the radio game studio. They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once, I even saw two of them get into fisticuffs over Wirral. They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be chronically liberal with their schedules. The usual. They ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time. Well, I did hear them talking at times. They seemed to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest.
She sounds almost mocking when she says that.
Yes, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know, how the markets are rigged to keep out new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic, and to show up to work on time. Not the wisest decision. You would have lost all your savings.
The dice is black and filled with little silvery flakes, like snowfall.
Anything else? Oh, right. I hope you didn't try to ring me. I think none of those doorbells work, including mine. I'm still in the middle of connecting the wires. Sorry about the confusion. The one with an empty name card. It's the last one in the list. As I said, it's quite useless right now. It doesn't work yet. Sure, I'm listening. Oh boy, the fabled Revachol ICT. You're in for a treat here. The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them. Now ask me about their other ideas.
Indeed, what were the other ideas?
There was really just one, and it involved picking out the prettiest girls in the neighborhood and paying them 20 cents per hour to man the booth. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you ever dared to disturb their bored magazine browsing.
Sounds like she really didn't like those girls. Fritta does the same thing.
Employing silky teenage girls is a widespread practice, yes. Unfortunately, they always come in packs. I'm talking about acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boyfriends loitering near the shop. At least that's what happened with Flushwow ICT. And they already had the bear. The bear. Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator. To make matters worse, the fridge didn't work too well either, and half the ice cream came out malformed and partially melted. Eventually, Flushwow ICT lost the price war to its rival, Glacé 5000. Glacé 5000 sold caramel sundaes for only 5 cents a piece, out of regular fridges. The taxidermist who made it said it was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desiccants. He called it Megatherion.
Sounds cool.
It's an imaginary beast that guides you through life by telling you to do more drugs, mostly. Do you? Well, anyway, now you know the story of the fallen ice cream empire. Anything else? Another failed business, perhaps? I've been here for a long time. I'm pretty sure it still doesn't work, but sure, what do you want to know? The one with an empty name card. It's the last one in the list. As I said, it's quite useless right now. It doesn't work yet. Sure, I'm listening. Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar. They weren't a big hit around here. Turns out that working class men don't like genderless haircuts. They're scared of that word.
A bit of experimenting every now and then isn't bad.
Me neither. I just wanted off my face. It wasn't merely a gym, it was Artemitep's Boxing Club, a community project created to steer at-risk youth away from drugs and crime. A kind man from Zemsk. I heard he had some trouble with the law when he was younger, and that's why he wanted to start the gym, as his way of giving back. Kuno. Who's Kuno? Oh, you mean the kid with the sailor's mouth? Yes, I've heard him yelling profanities in the backyard. I think it would take more than a gym to help that kid. It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinez even worse. At some point, someone started a rumor that the punching bag downstairs was full of amphetamines.
It's not really full of that. No one would store their drugs like that.
Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since. Oh, this one's a mess. There used to be a company that promised to repair windows 24 hours a day. What could go wrong with this one, right? Turns out, the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit group that was producing snuff milias. Who would have guessed?
What's the snuff milieu?
And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own. It's a Sub Rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it.
Nothing changes in her tone as she says that, as if it's just another piece of information to lay out for the world.
Don't worry, the ICP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-roses. This isn't our problem.
Good luck with that. It's not easy catching those perpetrators. You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did drugs. Anything else? Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else?
You feel nothing. If anything, it's uncomfortably warm in here.
Excuse me, what are you doing?
Officer!
And what technique is that?
Miss, I apologize for my colleague's behavior. He's still recovering from an unusual medical episode.
Officer, this isn't how mature adults deal with their feelings.
Now you feel something. The cold damp of shame washing over you.
Gladly.
It's the ledger you found in the trash, a cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip, then made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner. It takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've devised. Which one do you want? Not much has changed.